Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and today I'm going to have a little rant, a political rant. I haven't talked about politics for ages. There's been just so much else going on. Some of you will know I am very interested in politics. I actually have a degree in politics and international relations. That's the subject I took at university. So I'm really interested in politics. I would have become a politician, except it just didn't happen anyway. I've got too many skeletons in my closet. Anyway, but I still follow British politics, even though obviously I'm here in Spain. Some fools say, oh, it's got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with me because I am British. And whatever happens in Britain, it reflects on expats who live in other countries. The relationships between the countries. Brexit was a massive problem for expats, even though a lot of expats even voted for Brexit. Duh. But anyway, so of course I have an interest, and all my family, of course, are in the UK. So politics, a lot of people don't like politics, or they say I'm not interested in politics, but politics decides everything in your life. What you pay for your petrol, what you pay for your food, what opportunities your children are given, what happens to your pension. All this is controlled by politics. So politics are important. And in my personal opinion, from all the years I've been following politics, particularly British politics, I do have an interest in other countries, but I just don't know that much about their systems, whereas I do know a lot about the British system. There's been a total degeneration of Britain's standing in the world, their international reputation, with the laughing stock of Europe, with the laughing stock of everything. And particularly the last 4 years, as far as politics are concerned, have just been a disaster, haven't they? 3 different prime ministers. Boris Johnson winning the election with a landslide victory, but couldn't even get through the 4 years. And yes, I know COVID, COVID has been a problem, but COVID was a problem for every country. It wasn't just for Britain, and other countries seem to have come out of it better. But anyway, that's not what I'm going to talk about today. So today I'm just going to talk about a few things that have happened this week that you may or may not know about. And, what effect, if any, are they going to have on the sort of last few months of Rishi Sunak's premiership? Well, presuming that he doesn't win the next election, which looks highly unlikely at the moment, unless there's a miracle, because there is going to be an election sometime this year. It's just a question of when at the moment. And will Rishi Sunak even be still leading the Conservative Party by the time of this election? Because there's so much going on. You feel like he just can't. Well, he was never elected for a start. He was never elected, not even by his own party. His own party elected Liz Truss, who lasted like 20 seconds, didn't she, and was compared to a lettuce. But even she got more votes than Rishi Sunak got in her own party. Nobody wanted him to be Prime Minister. He's an unelected Prime Minister. This is another thing that just makes it look ridiculous in the eyes of the world, makes Britain look ridiculous. But anyway, I'm going to say hello to everybody first. And I just want to warn everybody, I will give my views. I don't mind if people disagree with them. You might think Rishi Sunak is the best thing since sliced bread. And, that's fine. Honestly, it is. But be respectful in your comments. If other people disagree with you, either me or any of the chatters, be nice to each other. We used to debate. This is something else I think that has changed. Now it's also partisan. It's like, it happened with Brexit, I think it started. It's just like, well, if you don't agree with me, you're a fool, you're an idiot. Like, not a debate, a healthy debate between adults, between grown-ups. People get really aggressive, really, instead of just accepting that people do have different points of view, and everyone has, if people can give their valid points, even if they don't convince you to think like them, they're still entitled to think like they want to. So be polite, please. I know my chatters normally are polite in their comments, and that, you get the odd one, but most of the time people are polite, and I know you all respect each other. So thank you for that, and thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking. Don't forget to leave your DNA on the like button. And thank you to all my members. Really looking forward to Members Live this week, because I'm going to be telling you when I'm going on location. Not where yet. I'll be telling you that when my members will get to know that when I'm on, as I leave, you know, when I'm on my way there. Also, we've got very interesting Members Live this Thursday. I'm going to talk to you about Nicola Bulley, and I'm going to talk to you about Mr. Peter Folding, and we're going to talk about little Cielo, the little boy who's still not been found in Leicestershire. And we're going to talk about all those things in the Members Live on Thursday evening. Okay, so first I'm going to say I'm going to say hello to everyone. Now, as you know, yesterday I was a little bit meh. Today I'm better. I'm feeling more cheerful. You know, nothing's changed. You know, there's still lots of sadness and all over the world, and there's still all the same problems that I had yesterday. But just sometimes you just have a day where everything gets on top of you, and today I feel a bit better. You know, you just got to celebrate the fact you're alive most of the time. So, hi, Mini Angel. Doesn't do politics, but they're just popping by to say the thumbnail pic is hilarious. Yep, the world is like that at the moment. You just want to scream. You do, because you just when you think, oh my God, you know, you've seen it all. You see something else. It's not about Ukraine proving audacity. No, I'm not talking about Ukraine. I don't like to get involved in talk about the war, because, you know, I am anti-war. Like, all war's a crime as far as I'm concerned. So I don't like to, you know, I just don't like to get involved, and I don't think one side. Anyway, this is what I mean. I don't want to get into a controversial subject like the Ukraine war, because I have thoughts on it that probably a lot of people won't agree with. Hi, Jean. Hi, Alana. I'm having an early morning rant. Yes, Simon, an early morning rant today. Hang on, I just forgot something. Hi, Simon. Yeah. Hi, Quizzical. So Alana was thinking of going into politics. I would have loved to have gone into politics. I honestly would. To be honest, the reason I didn't is because, you know, I was joking saying I have got skeletons in my cupboard, but everybody has, but nothing mega. My skeletons in my cupboard are nothing as bad as the ones that most of the politicians that are in the government at the moment have got. But yeah, when I finished my degree in politics, and then I was pregnant, and then I came to live in Spain, so it just never happened. But there was a time. Hi, David. Hi, Rini. Australia. Well, do you know, funnily enough, Alana, because obviously I've been watching a lot of Australian news because of the Samantha Murphy case, and I've picked up a little bit about the politics and that, and I can see that everyone's unhappy there as well. You know, there's something, I suppose in a way people will always complain. I mean, whatever political party is in power, there'll always be things that people don't think they're doing right, and you know, that is just the way of politics, if you like. You can't please all the people all the time, can you? But I do think at the moment in Britain, I've lived a long life, and I've been interested in politics all my life. I have never seen anything like the shit show that's going on at the moment. You know, even with Mrs. Thatcher, who wasn't my favourite person because we had quite a bad recession in the north under Mrs. Thatcher, but I can see that why people thought, you know, she was good, and you can respect her work ethic, and at least her, although I might not have agreed with her views, at least you could see that she really believed in them. Now, these lot that are in now, oh my God, I just can't cope with it. Anyway, hi, Vivienne. Sorry, I'm just going down saying hello to everybody, and that always takes me a little. Thank you, Proving Audacity. Yeah, some weird energies going on at the moment, you know, but you have to You have to sort of rise above him, I suppose. But Sam's going to watch Netflix later to take his mind off things. Yeah, I think you should watch Legends of the Fall, Simon. Mind you, it is a sad film. If you want a cheerful film, it's not the film. Who's Jean talking about? Who's been caught with a child under 5? Anyway. Okay, so let's have a look. Oh, where do I start? Because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. I think I'm going to start with 30p Lee. Lee Anderson, I've spoken about him before. I've ranted about him before. Now, Lee Anderson is a British politician. Now, he's been a member of 3 different parties. Here he is, good old 30p Lee. They call him 30p Lee because he said that you could make a meal for 30p. You know, cost of living crisis, load of bollocks, according to Lee. You can make a meal for 30p. What are you complaining about? Cost of living crisis? Well, he doesn't look like he eats a meal for 30p, does he? You know, but that's what he said. He can cook a meal for 30p. So that earned him the nickname 30p Lee. He's also known as Neanderthal Lee because he's like typical northern caveman. And I come from the north, and believe me, I've met a lot of men like him, a lot of women like him, to be honest. So what's the other thing about Lee, 30p Lee, is he just blows with the wind. He joins any political party that he thinks will suit him. So he started off in the Labour Party. So he was a member of the Labour Party for a long time. He's the MP. He has been voted in. He is an MP at the moment, and he's been the Member of Parliament for Ashfield since 2019. Now, he came he was elected as as a member of the Conservative Party as an MP. He came in with that sort of Boris Johnson landslide victory, the red wall breaking down, because traditionally where he is now an MP, nobody would have voted Conservative ever, because it's like, you know, a working class community, miners, ex-miners, you know, they just never would have voted Conservative. They voted Conservative because of Boris Johnson and his lies and his pretense that he's a man of the people, and the Brexit vote, you know, we're going to get all that money for the NHS, weren't we? You know, Boris's bus, you know, stop giving all this money to Europe and give it to the NHS instead. Absolute load of lies, bollocks, you name it. It was rubbish. Anyway, that's how he became an MP. Now, funny that he became a Conservative MP, because he started off in the Labour Party. He was a candidate for the Labour Party, and he was, how can we put it? He was ejected from the Labour Party. The Labour Party ejected him because he was sexist, because of sexist comments that he made. He was going around canvassing with a woman who had quite big breasts. And he said, he posted a picture on his social media saying, oh, she's a really good door knocker. Right? So this is here. So he's just like he is a Neanderthal man. You know, he's like northern caveman, your archetypal northern caveman. He's like, you know, just those are his views. Anyway, so they got rid of him from the Labour Party. They didn't want him there anymore after he made I'd be very surprised if that was the only reason. They maybe did other things, but that is the reason that it's quoted. He was ejected from the Labour Party. So what did he do? He joined the Conservative Party. There's no difference, is there, between Labour and Conservative? You know, it's just like, talk about going from one extreme to another. Now, he said his heroes, I mean, they'll all be turning in the grave, because the fact is he joined the Conservative Party. So the people that were his early influences and his early political beliefs and his, you know, political heroes were Arthur Scargill, Michael Foot, sorry, not Michael Foot, Arthur Scargill, Dennis Skinner, the Beast of Bolsover, really left-wing guy, who actually, he lost his seat in the last election, after years of having that seat. He's a bit of a Northern Capeman as well, to be honest. But also Tony Benn would not wipe this. It'd be like wiping SHIT from his shoes to deal with someone like Lee Anderson. Tony Benn, my God, he would be turning in his grave, Tony Benn, thinking that this guy, thought he was anything like him. So he joined the Conservative Party, and then he became an MP because he was swept in on this tide of sort of the red wall crumbling in the north, and whether he'll keep his seat next time. Ashfield is the MP for Ashfield. I don't know, maybe if anybody out there watching this is one of his constituents, maybe he's a good MP for Ashfield. I don't know what sort of a job he's making of it. Maybe he's doing well. I don't know. But then, and he did really well in the Conservative Party. Somehow he ended up as the deputy chairman of the Conservative Party. I think, Rishi Sunak made him deputy chairman just to, prove, he's got working class roots, which of course Rishi Sunak wouldn't know working class. If it hit him in the face, he has no clue what it's like to have to struggle to pay a bill, to feed your children, to have 3 jobs and still not be able to make ends meet, all those things. Rishi Sunak has not got a clue. So I think he made 30p Lee the deputy chairman of the Conservative Party just to prove, to appeal to people that Rishi Sunak hasn't got cat and hell's chance of appealing to. Anyway, then he got himself into trouble again because he's very outspoken. Now, I don't mind outspoken, as you know, but it's just the things that he speaks out about. They're always either sexist, racist, something ist, everything's ist with him. So what he did, let me just find the exact offence. He spoke out about probably things. I know that immigration is a very sensitive subject in the UK, and I don't live in the UK, so I don't experience, especially in the north, there's a lot of immigrants, there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of culture clashes, but people like him, they whip up, instead of trying to bring people together, they whip up the animosity, which I think is deliberate, because while everybody's fighting with each other, they're not looking up and seeing what everybody else, what the politicians are doing. This divide and rule. Tony Benn spoke a lot about that. Divide the people, and that's how you rule them. You divide the men and the women, the blacks and the whites, the Muslims and the Christians. You create divisions, or not create divisions, but increase divisions, increase hostility. Then there was the Brexit thing, where you Brexit, for Brexit, anti-Brexit, and all the animosity. So it's not a question of thinking differently. I mean, all my life, people do feel differently about things. Of course they do. But now it seems like it's a real war. It's like really aggressive. There's so much aggression and hate, being flown around. And then really, if you look up and see what all the politicians are doing and the people up there, people will get upset about someone, maybe fiddling their benefits for a 50 quid that they take a cash in hand for a job because they're trying to struggle on benefits. They take a job and everyone's up in arms about it. You look what these politicians take for their expenses. They're always fiddling their expenses for thousands of pounds. And, you as the British public, if you're watching this and you're British, you're paying for them. You're paying for their lifestyle. You're paying for their subsidies in the bar, in the House of Commons, for them to get absolutely hammered. And, like Michael Gove and bloody Rees-Mogg go into the Houses of Commons pissed as a fart and, you know, embarrassed Britain by being seen on TV drunk and or coked out of the head or whatever, you know, you're paying for that. You're paying for that. So, you know, I'd rather give someone an extra 50 quid, you know, in the hand for doing you know, a paint job on the side or whatever when they're struggling to earn money, to be honest, rather than give these twonks any money. So what did he do? What did he do recently? So, because he's been turfed out of the Conservative Party now. So this guy, he's been turfed out of the Labour Party. He's now been turfed out of the Conservative Party because he made Islamophobic comments about the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. And you know, whether you agree with Sadiq Khan or you don't agree, that's not the issue. It's not a question of whether you think he's a good mayor or not. It's a question of making comments that incite racial hatred. That is what you cannot do. You can turn around and say, oh, I think Sadiq Khan is a rubbish mayor and I don't think he's done anything for London. And maybe he's right. There'll be people in London watching this. There'll be some people watching it going, oh, he's a brilliant mayor. And there'll be other people going, oh, no, he's a shite mayor. But the thing is, he is in a position of authority as an MP. He should not be inciting, you know, Islamophobic comments. So he just shouldn't. It's the way he said it. It's not that he's saying that Sadiq Khan is not very good. It's the fact that he's the way he's saying it. You know, and there's enough hatred, isn't there? There's enough hatred in this world. Can't, you know, why without people that are supposed to know better inciting more hatred? Because what he said was, he resigned as deputy chairman because he wanted to vote against the government over the Rwanda asylum plan. I mean, that's caused so many problems, hasn't it? This Rwanda shite. Nobody's ever going to get flown off to Rwanda. It's just not going to happen. It's just a big thing to distract everyone from real issues. There's only 200 people that can go a year anyway, so it's not even a dent in the problem of in the refugee crisis or whatever. It's not even a little dent in it. So it's just a load of rubbish. And then he had the whip suspended, and what that means is he can't say he's a Conservative anymore because he refused to apologise for saying that Islamists had got control of the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, and the leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer. Now, you know, whatever, as I say, whatever you think about those people, whether you like Keir Starmer, whether you hate him, whether you like Sadiq Khan, whether you hate him, you know, he shouldn't be saying inflammatory comments like that. You know, that is not what you should be doing as an MP. It's a responsibility. You're a member of Parliament. Your responsibility is huge. And to be honest, it's nothing to do with him in a way, what's going on in London, because he's not an MP in London. He's an MP in Ashfield. He needs to concentrate on his own constituency. What's going on there? Who's got control of him? But anyway, there you go. So that was the end of that. He had the whip suspended, so he was an independent MP, really, to all intents and purposes there. So what he's done now is he's gone off to join the Reform Party. So the Reform Party is a relatively new party, isn't it, that sort of came out. It's a Brexit party. It's in favour of Brexit. It doesn't believe that the Conservatives are pro-Brexit enough, doesn't think that they're doing enough about immigration, etc. So, you know, so he's been through Labour, Conservative, and now he's in the Reform Party. And the Reform Party, just let me, because I don't know all the details about it, but it's run by Richard Tice, isn't it? Reform UK. Now, I know from comments I've had on my channel when I've discussed politics before. Sorry, just let me get this up. Oh, the internet's working very slow at the moment for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. Right, Reform UK. So I'm on the website. Here it is. And of course, Nigel Farage is in this party. Oh, you can become a member. I don't think I'll be becoming a member. And a lot of, I know for a fact, a lot of people who normally vote Conservative, they are going to vote Reform because they've, I've had comments on my chat from people saying they can't vote Conservative, but they can't bring themselves to vote Labour, so they will vote Reform, this Richard Tice. And Lee Anderson has become their first MP. So they've not had an MP before. I think they've fought in elections before, but they have never received an MP before. Let's just have a look at a little video about them. Make Britain great again. Right, so that's him. That is Richard Tice. He comes over quite well when he's talking. Now, I think something you need to remember if you are thinking of voting for he is a multimillionaire, of course. He's not, from a council estate or anything, but maybe he's right. So we can make Britain great again. Reform is essential in the way our country is run and managed, so it works properly for the people. Application of basic common sense. Many challenges. We need to do Brexit properly. So he's proper in favour of Brexit. That's why I could never vote, because to me, I think Brexit is the biggest disaster that has ever happened to Britain. I don't, there's nothing positive has come out of Brexit whatsoever. Just, so Brexit was a disaster. But having said that, you have to make it work because we are where we are. We are where we are, and there's no point in longing for the past, because even if we rejoined Europe, we'll never be the same as before when we were so, well respected in Europe. We're never going to go back to that again. So, if we rejoined Europe, we'd be like almost on the bottom rung of the ladder again. So anyway, he says we must stand up for our core democratic values, our civil liberties, our right to free speech, celebrate our pride in being British, our amazing culture, our unbreakable communities, our incredible heritage. Now, I do believe it. I think I like that. Some of the things he says I like. I do think Britain, we've forgotten our values, because all this hate and division, that to me, they're not British values that I remember. I was always proud of the fact we were a tolerant society, that we sort of didn't all hate each other. Now, all this hate really, to me, has ruined our reputation, and it's ruined the way I feel about being, believe me, if you lived abroad and you're British, you know the difference in the way people look at you now, whether you think we were brilliant. Now they think we're all weirdos, like racist weirdos that, we don't have the same respect that we did have. And I've seen that firsthand living in Spain, the way expats are treated now, totally different from before. So let's stop all the woke nonsense that is holding us back. Well, woke, I'm a bit on the fence with. There are some woke things that I agree with, and there are some things that I don't. And I suppose we're all a little bit like that. But the thing about woke as well is, again, it's not something that you can just sort of close your eyes and wish away. It's here, it's happening. Society's changed. Young people think differently about things. So you've got to make the best of it, and you've got to make it, a good thing, instead of just complaining about it and saying, let's go back to when, You know, what we're going to do, go back to when gay marriage was outlawed, or go back to when women didn't have a vote, or, you know, how far are you going to go back? Where do you decide where sort of woke starts? What is woke? You know, sometimes it feels like it goes too far, but where do you put the line that that's too far, but oh no, that's okay? So it needs a discussion, it needs a debate. I do think there's a sort of policy at the moment where it's like, oh, you know, don't talk about it because people are too scared to be too controversial. Same with immigration. You know, you've got to talk about it. You can't pretend that it's not a problem, but then you've got to talk about it in a reasonable way, not just screaming, oh, all immigrants are twonks, you know, because they're not. But this is how it feels at the moment. Everything's like extreme one way or the other. You know, it's either all immigration is brilliant or all immigration is terrible. And the truth is somewhere in the middle. You know, you've got to have a proper immigration policy. I do agree with him there. There is no immigration policy at the moment. You know, it's just scream at the immigrants and blame them for everything. But there's no policy really of control, a proper policy of controlling immigration. So, you know, there are some things these are what he wants to do: reform the economy, reform the energy strategy, etc. Anyway, I'll leave you. You can, if you're interested in knowing more about reform, maybe you're one of the people, like many of the people that have left comments on my chat, you know, where you don't feel that you can vote Conservative anymore, but you're certainly not going to vote Labour. A lot of people have said to me that they're now going to vote Reform. So it'd be very interesting in the next election, in my eyes. So that's it. So 30p Lee is now the very first Reform MP. They never had an MP before. So at least until the next election, they have an MP. Lee Anderson, Neanderthal Lee. I mean, he's just, you know, I have to laugh when I'm talking about him because if it wasn't so serious, he's a joke. The guy is a joke. You know, he's gone from one party to another. So he's been thrown out the Labour Party. He's been thrown out the Conservative Party. So now he's in the Reform Party. Where's he going after that when he gets thrown out of that? Because I did say, I think the next party he's going to is a Chimps Tea Party. But I don't think the Chimps will have him. They won't want him there, will they? They're a bit more sensible than everybody else, all these other stupid parties that take him in. And he's done so many things that are wrong. You know, another thing that he did, he got a reporter to rock up. I did show this on another video. He went off to canvassing and got a reporter to go with him. And he went to a friend of his house. And these reporter, the camera crew, caught him on the mic. He didn't realise that his mic was already recording. When he phoned the guy he was going to see, who was a mate of his, to tell him what to say, to prime him up what to say. And, right, we're coming to your house in a minute now. Don't forget, pretend you don't know me and just say you're going to vote for me, you know, and you've changed your mind. He did that as well. So, you know, he just can't be trusted. This guy cannot be trusted. 30, and he thinks you can cook a meal for 30p. 30p Lee. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd like to go round to his house and he could show me how I could cook a meal for 30p. You know, just absolute idiot. So that's my first rant. Let me put some windows down. That's my first rant. Lee Anderson, 30p Lee. Yeah. So there you go. He's defected. You know, he shouldn't be allowed to do that, because at the end of the day, when he was voted for as a Conservative MP. He was voted for under the banner of Boris Johnson, and whatever you think about Boris Johnson, which I haven't got much time for Boris Johnson, but I know a lot of people think he's like brilliant. At the end of the day, how can you just defect? You know, your constituents have voted for you because you're part of that Conservative Party, and you just say, oh, now I'm going to go and join another party now. should have to be a by-election immediately, because the people that voted for you, they didn't vote for you as a Reform MP. They voted for you as a Conservative MP. For God's sake, in Britain now, people just do what they want. We've got an unelected Prime Minister telling people what to do. A billionaire. Would people have voted for Rishi Sunak? Even his own party didn't vote for him. Should have had to call an immediate election. We call it democracy. It's not democracy, that, in my eyes. Anyway, I've already done a little bit of swearing, David. I can't just swear all the time. I might swear a little bit. We'll see what happens in a minute. Okay, so the next person I want to talk about is this controversy, again, that you may have not heard of. Again, it's like politicians stoking hate. This is about Diane Abbott. Now, a Tory donor, some guy who donates millions of pounds to the Tory party, has made some very controversial comments about Diane Abbott. Now, you may or may not know Diane Abbott. She's a Labour MP. And I've got to say, she's not my favourite Labour MP. I think she's caused a lot of problems in the Labour Party. But one thing that you cannot dispute about Diane Abbott, whether you like her or you don't like her, she's been an MP for a long time in her constituency of Hackney. She gets voted in over and over again. She's been in Parliament a long time, and they all agree she's a very hard-working MP, and she represents her constituents well. So, but of course, she's not popular in the media. Maybe she's not photogenic enough. I don't know what the reason is. She's very, very left-wing. As I say, even though I'm probably a Labour, well, I am, my natural tendency would be to vote with the Labour Party, but I've never really... Stop it. Sounds like the dog doesn't really like Diane either. No. Because she's a bit too left-wing for me, although I am really left-wing, I suppose you'd say. Diane, I don't know, sometimes left-wingers, they can be, in my opinion, can be too left-wing. I mean, for some of my friends, you can't be left-wing enough. They love Diane Abbott or anyone. She's not my favourite Labour MP, but she's a hard-working MP. Her constituents vote her in over and over again. So whatever people think of her, she always gets a bad press. She's put up with, she'd get the most hate out of most MPs because, she's black. Also, she's a woman. So, women get more hate than men in general, MPs. And black women, they get it doubly, because of racial hate as well. She puts up with that on a daily basis, day in, day out, on her social media, etc. So then this Frank Hester, who is a donor, who's donated millions of pounds to the Tory party, he allegedly said that Diane Abbott made him want to hate all black women and she should be shot. Now, that is not a good thing to say, is it? It's not a good thing to say. Whatever way you look at it, whether you like Diane Abbott or not, to say that she makes him want to hate all black women and she should be shot, that is not a nice comment to make, and it is a racially, racially compromising comment. So finally, this came out a couple of days ago, and Rishi Sunak said nothing. Everyone was up in arms about these comments. The media, you can imagine, it's all over social media. Diane Abbott herself went to the police and reported him for these comments, that, saying it put her life at risk. Because, there will be somebody out there, there'll be there's some like crazies out there who'll think, yeah, I do hate all black women, and yeah, she should be shot. I'm going to go and shoot her. The MPs are murdered quite often. There's been a few incidences and MPs without all this whipping up hatred that have been murdered in their constituencies for various reasons. So, you know, it just shouldn't happen that he said this. Anyway, he said it, and apparently he said it in a private conversation. So obviously someone's reported it, and, you know, here it is. Now, apparently he did apologise, but you know, Rishi Sunak, he is such a wimp. Instead of coming straight out immediately and saying, oh, hang on, he should not have made this comment. He waited, because this is you know, it's all about money with Rishi Sunak. If it's someone who's going to give him money, he isn't going to bite the hand that feeds him. So it took him over 24 hours before he even made a comment to condemn that comment. He's finally come out now and condemned it. And he said that comments allegedly made about Diane Abbott were racist and wrong. Rishi Sunak's spokesman has said, finally. So this Frank Hester has donated £10 million to the Tories. That's who's donating to the Tories. Racist, horrible, you know, by a conservative and he reportedly said the MP made him want to hate all black women. But he did go on and say she should be shot. They don't seem to be mentioning. This is the BBC website, but he did go on and say that. Oh, so then he said he apologised for making rude comments, but he said his words had nothing to do with her gender or colour of skin. So hang on a minute. Let's see. What did he say? He said that Diane Abbott made him want to hate all black women. Oh, but no, it had nothing to do with her colour or her gender. No, you've misheard him. It must be your fault. It must be our fault, because he said it's nothing to do with her gender or her colour of her skin to say she made him want to hate all black women. Nothing whatsoever to do with her colour or gender. Well, you know, what? Anyway, so Downing Street initially refused to condemn his claims as racist. But later, you know, they don't know what they say. Oh, let's see the way the wind's blowing. So, do we think those comments are racist? Let's see. Let's wait and see what everybody thinks. Do you know what? Since we've had this government, we've got Rishi Sunak, who's a person of colour. We've had Suella Braverman. We've got James Cleverly. We've got, you know, it's a very diverse cabinet, you know, that we've got now. But racism seems worse. And there's something I want to tell you. You must never believe that only white people can be racist. You know, sometimes, you know, Indian people could be racist against Pakistani people, or Chinese people could be racist against black people, or black people could be racist against Chinese people. You know, racism is not just a prerogative of white people. And so it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why is there so many problems with racism when we've got like so many people of colour actually in the cabinet? Suella Braverman, you know, the comments she made, you know, while she was the secretary of whatever she was secretary of, you know, you just think, how can she say that? So you know, children of immigrants being anti-immigrants. Priti Patel, another one. So you can never think that just because someone's a person of colour that they're not racist. Anyone can be racist. It's not only white people that are racist. Anyway, so later, Mr. Sunak's spokesperson said the comments allegedly made by Frank Hester were racist and wrong. He has now rightly apologised for the offence caused. And where remorse is shown, it should be accepted. They always come out and say these things, don't they? When they do something wrong and someone says they're sorry, their apology should be accepted, but not anybody else's. So the Prime Minister is clear there is no place for racism in public life. And as the first British Asian Prime Minister leading one of the most ethnically diverse cabinets in our history, the UK is living proof of that fact. So yeah, they've got all this, but it's probably Britain's never been so racist. You know, when I was young, it just wasn't. You know, it wasn't a divisive issue like it is now. You know, it was just wasn't. Ah, I don't know how to explain it. But now it's like it's this war, isn't it? It's a culture war. It's culture wars, and culture wars are created by the government, created by the establishment to make you all argue between yourselves, so you're not watching what they're all up to. So he's now facing calls to return the money that Mr. Hester has donated to the Conservative Party. Former Labour Deputy Leader Harriet Harman described it as tainted money. We know the Tories don't care where they get their money from. They've got Lebedev, who's in the House of Lords. He was given. So I'll never get it. I still can't believe that people aren't actually, you know, fuming about the fact that a Russian person has been given a title, a British title. You know, he was seated in the House of Lords because of his friendship with Boris Johnson. I still can't believe that people just accept that. You know, so they've taken money from Russia for years. You know, they don't care about the war. They don't care about Ukraine. You know, all they care about is what money's been donated to them. Anyway, so it's been described as tainted money. He should not be fighting an election on money which has come from this person. Lord Barwell, a former minister, another lord. They're all lords or ladies or baronesses or barons at the moment, and there's so many titles floating around. Every time I read out an article about something, there's always a baron or a lord or a baroness. You know, it is just a joke. The British establishment, it's got worse. It's got worse, like going back in time. So he said his party should not accept further donations from Mr. Hester, but they may well have spent some of the money that had already been given. Oh dear, so are they going to give it him back then if they've already spent it? Oh, I know. What about Rishi Sunak digging into his pocket for his billions and giving it him back? Crazy. It's crazy. So the ex-Downing Street Chief of Staff also criticised Number 10 for the hugely damning decision to send out ministers who were unable to call the comments racist before the government mind changed. So yeah, so on the rounds, you know, every morning some poor politician has to go out and do the rounds of the media, like, you know, the BBC, the ITV, the Sky News, the radio, go out and, you know, talk about whatever the government's line is that morning. So yesterday we're going to look at a couple of interviews that some poor guy went out. Well, I say poor guy, I mean, he's a twonk if he's in, you know, he's happy to do that and, you know, not go with his principles. That's his own fault. But he was sent out to say, no, these comments weren't racist. You know, he had to go out and justify the comments to all the different media bases. And then now they're saying they are racist. So that he's gone out and said all this crap that he's been told to say that yesterday morning. And now this morning, somebody else will have gone out and say, oh, yes, those comments were racist. So the government's position on Mr. Hester's alleged remarks zigzagged all through Tuesday. So they first said the comments were unacceptable, but they wouldn't describe them as racist or sexist. So why are they unacceptable then? So let's think about that. So yeah, the comments are unacceptable, but they're not racist or sexist. And then the business secretary, Kemi Badenoch, I don't know if you know her. She's a lady of colour, a black lady, and she outflanked the Prime Minister because she's hoping to be Prime Minister. So, you know, it's going to be a bloodbath now until the election because Kemi Badenoch, she wants to be the next Prime Minister. So she's come out and said they were racist comments. But Downing Street still held its line yesterday, and then suddenly at 6:30 yesterday, Tuesday, they changed their mind and said they were racist. So there you go. So this is it's the Guardian that reported these comments. They were in 2019. So, you know, they've dragged this up from somewhere. So that's quite good journalism, really, to drag these comments up. Someone is probably, there'll be a reason, but, you know, it could well be that Kemi Badenoch herself has found out about this, sent this to the Guardian to try and undermine Rishi Sunak. It could be all about, you know, the leadership. There'll be Machiavellian things going on behind the scenes now. You know, I bet it's an absolute cesspit. It was a cesspit before, so it'd be even worse now. So Mr. Hester said, it's like trying not to be racist, but you see Diane Abbott on the TV and you're just like, you just want to hate all black women because she's there. And I don't hate all black women at all, but I think she should be shot. So in further remarks reported by the same newspaper of the same meeting, the Phoenix Partnership boss is claimed to have said there was no room for the Indians then and suggested that staff climb on a train roof. However, earlier he posted that he abhors racism and he describes it as a poison that has no place in public life. We should have the confidence to discuss our differences openly and even playfully without seeking to cause offence. Now, these are alleged remarks because the BBC has added this at the bottom. The BBC has not heard a recording or been able to independently verify the alleged remarks. Yeah. Okay, now then, there's something else I want to show you. So these, oh, sorry, I was just going over because where's the, I had something prepared of the guy. Some poor guy who was having to justify the remarks. Can't find it now. Hang on. So, yeah, this Mr. Hollindrake, who is the poor guy that was out yesterday doing the media rounds, this guy. This is the post office minister, Mr. Hollindrake. Well, of course, it's all going on, isn't it? It's all going on about the post office. You know, these poor people that were accused of stealing money from the post office. And, you know, there's been the program about it. And it turns out that it was the Horizon, what would you call it? The system that recorded their accounts that was wrong, etc. And anyway, the good thing for them that's come out of this is probably because of all this furore over these racist remarks and Lee Anderson, 30p Lee, going off to the Reform Party, they trotted out the post office minister to say that all these post office sub-postmasters that had been arrested or served prison time, all their convictions were going to be quashed. So this guy had to come out and talk about that. But of course, the only thing anyone wanted to talk about was this racism row with Diane Abbott. So, you know, let's see what he had to say, because he said, well, let's see what he said.
I don't think it's right to judge somebody's character by their skin colour. That's effectively what his comments what his comments said. So it was clearly wrong thing to say. He's apologised for it. I can't speak for my colleagues, but I think in terms of those comments, clearly they were racist. He's right to apologise. The Prime Minister's called them racist too. I'm not excusing it at all. These comments were wrong. Racist, he's apologised. That's not excusing his comments.
No, I agree. But I'm asking the question, is the party content to spend his money?
Well, on the basis he's not a racist and has apologised for what he said, yes. I don't think it's right to judge somebody's character by their skin colour. That's effectively what his comments made.
So basically what this guy says is that the comments were racist. But when he was asked, do you think he should give the money back? No, don't think they should give the money back. And then the reporter also went on and asked him, if he offered any more money, do you think the Tory party should take it? And he said yes. So basically what he said was the comments were racist and wrong, but no, you shouldn't have to give the money back. He's apologised. He's apologised. So, you know what I mean? He's apologised. So it's like, oh, that's okay. It doesn't matter what you do, what racist comments you make. Doesn't matter, you know, do anything you like as long as you apologise afterwards. It's fine. It's fine. And this is what he said. And it's just, you just sit with your mouth open. It's just like, what? You know, what?
I don't think it's right to judge somebody's character by their skin colour. That's effectively what his comments made, what his comments said. So it was clearly wrong thing to say. He's apologised for it. I can't.
Sorry, don't know why it's cutting off. It should just play through. Why did it stop?
I don't think it's right to judge somebody's character by their skin colour. That's effectively what his comments made, what his comments said. So it was clearly wrong thing to say. He's apologised for it. I can't speak for my colleagues, but I think in terms of those comments, clearly they were racist. He's right to apologise. The Prime Minister's called them racist too. I'm not excusing it at all. These comments were wrong. Racist, he's apologised. That's not excusing his comments.
No, I agree. But I'm asking the question, is the party content to spend his money?
Well, on the basis he's not a racist and has apologised for what he said, yes.
Oh, gosh, here we go. We're in the parallel universe again. And of course, the other thing that's happening is that Boris Johnson might be coming back at the next general election. So it's been announced that Boris Johnson has agreed to help Rishi Sunak, even though he calls him Snaky Sunak. Apparently he hates him. They hate each other. But Boris Johnson has agreed to help Rishi Sunak campaign at the general election in a bid to resuscitate the party's chances. Well, I don't know if he's going to, not after bloody the COVID inquiry and everything, and everybody knowing he was just taking the piss out the whole country while everybody was trying to do the right thing during COVID, and he didn't give a shit, basically, what was going on. I don't know if he'll be an asset, but to some people he will, because some people still think that Boris Johnson is, the best thing since sliced bread. But there you go. Each to their own. I wouldn't dream of condemning anybody who likes Boris Johnson. That's their right to like who they want. But so when that poor guy, that Kevin Hollinrake, who wanted to talk about the post office, because he had this good news that all the convictions from the post office scandal were going to be quashed. He'd obviously been sent out for that reason. Look, try and detract from all this other shit that's going on. Tell them about the post office. Instead, he got asked about the bloody racist row with Diane Abbott and the Boris Johnson helping out at the next general election. So when he was asked if the ex-PM's assistance is needed, bloody hell, they'll be bringing back Liz Truss. What are they going to do? Bring Liz Truss back and see what advice she can give? Well, at least she did win an election. She didn't win the general election, but at least she won the election of the Conservative Party members. I just don't know how that must feel for Rishi Sunak to know that someone who was compared to a lettuce got more votes than him from his own party. His own party didn't want him as Prime Minister. So he's bringing Boris Johnson back? What's he going to do? Bring Liz Truss back? Is he going to bring Kamikaze Kwarteng back, who wrecked the British economy? Why don't you just dig up Mrs. Thatcher and bring her back as well then at the same time? Who else is he going to bring back? He's lost all the good people. The Conservative Party lost the good politicians that they had over Brexit, because the good politicians that they had, they didn't want Brexit, and then they just got totally sidelined after Brexit, because you've got to think, what was Who has benefited from Brexit in Britain? The only people that have benefited from Brexit are the establishment, rich people. Britain's become this, you know, it's like a little island, just like it's got no international influence. Nobody cares what's happening in Britain. You know, it's just been totally sidelined. And what that means is the establishment then can do what the hell they want. Can do what they want. The doctor in photos now, the royal family and everything, they can do what they want. They're like an elite. It's like it's even worse than it was before. And you have, you know, you can't go to the Court of European Human Rights now or whatever. You know, you've got no. You're just on your own. It's just, you know, a load of the gap between the rich and poor has got bigger. Everything's got worse. What's got better in Britain? It hasn't even helped immigration, because all the good immigrants, they've gone to other European countries where they don't get the same hassle. That's why they can't get staff in Harrods, apparently, because all the people that they used to have working in Harrods and places like that were like Eastern Europeans. You know, because people can't afford, even at Harrods, God knows what the wages are, but if you've got to live in London, people won't work for that money. So they've got a real, you know, there's a real crisis of like baristas and, you know, waiters and waitresses and people that would work for less money. You know, that British people won't work for that money. So we've got this massive crisis in Britain for all sorts of things. And a lot of those Eastern Europeans now, they're coming to Spain and other countries like that because the red tape is too much in the UK. Then, and also they get a lot of racism, they get a lot of xenophobia aimed towards them. That makes me so sad about Britain, because I think Britain was always known as a tolerant country, and I don't think it is now. You know, and I hope it can change, but it takes years. And that's the scary thing, is it's took years to get into this state, 14 years, and probably before that even. And now getting out of it again, it's not going to happen overnight. Probably, you know, just hope in my lifetime I do see some improvements. You know, it's just so sad because there were so many good things. You know, I think my generation, we did see the best of Britain, as, you know, the hope, like, because of you know, the meritocracy, that you know, you could go to university no matter what your background was. It wasn't all about money, you know, and if your parents couldn't afford to send you to university, you couldn't go. You could go, you didn't have to pay fees, you got a grant. You know, you just, it really, really does upset me. And now all this about migrants, you know, I thought it's been a little while since we've seen the boats on the news and everything. You know, now they're talking, it's all come up again. Migrants are to be paid thousands of pounds to move to Rwanda. How much money is the only people that have gone to Rwanda so far are the very, like Suella Braverman and James Cleverly. They've been to Rwanda. No asylum seeker has gone to Rwanda yet, but there's been millions and millions. I mean, Rwanda must be laughing, you know, on the other side of the face or whatever, because they've had all this money paid to them. They haven't had to do anything yet. There you go. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to show you, and I don't know if this is important or not, but it was just a little something that was on Sky News that may be important. Don't tell me I can't find it. It don't matter if I can't find it, because I'll just tell you about it anyway. But Sam Coates, who is the political correspondent for Sky News, said that, I'm sure I've got it here somewhere. Yeah, I'd like to show you the actual.
What I'm about to tell you, I think it smacks.
So this is Sam Coates. So he's Sky News deputy political editor, and he says that last night Rishi Sunak had a special secret meeting with Graham Brady, who is the chairman of the 22 committee, you know, all this shite that they talk about. Anyway, he's the one that if there ever is a change of prime minister, you know, if there's a lot of letters of no confidence, because if enough, and I know that a lot of Conservative MPs have said that they've sent in letters of no confidence, but we don't know the full amount of letters until they have to reach a certain level. And then Graham Brady announces that there's got to be a leadership election again. Well, there can't be another leadership election now so close to the election, surely. Surely you would just call an election and do it that way. I don't know. But anyway, so Sam Coates this morning had this breaking news, and he's very good, Sam Coates. You know, he's got insiders information. This is what he said.
What if you found out?
Well, I think if there's a link between what you've just heard from Serena and what I'm about to tell you, I think it smacks of possibly a number 10 not really concentrating, perhaps not being on it enough today to deal with the racism scandal until this late moment, but maybe there's a reason for that, and maybe that reason is linked to what I'm about to tell you. I've discovered that last night Rishi Sunak had a private, secret meeting with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of the 1922 committee. Now, there was always going to be a meeting with a slightly bigger group of people of Sir Graham Brady and his executive with the Prime Minister. That's normal and routine. But Graham Brady appears to have requested an additional one-on-one meeting that nobody else was present for on top of that. That is significant, Sophie, because when that happens, how can I put this? It often means something's up. Now, I can't tell you what was said in that meeting. I can't tell you any account of what's happening because nobody wants to go into detail. I just know that it was not on the schedule and people were surprised that it took place. The last equivalent meeting like that took place just before Liz Truss was dethroned, when Sir Graham Brady went to see Jeremy Hunt, who at that point was a pivotal figure in that administration to warn him about what was happening. At that point, there seemed to be sufficient letters potentially going in for a vote of no confidence. There is chat about letters. There is a massive, massive list of things that Tory MPs are unhappy about, from the racism scandal that you've just been talking about, to the defection of Lee Anderson, to the poor handling of the budget, to the fact that Tories are 27 points behind in some of the polls, to the fact that they know that they're going to be getting a huge drubbing in the local elections. The question of when
There is nothing going right for Rishi Sunak at the moment. So it's short of actually, you know, declaring war on someone like Mrs. Thatcher did in the Falklands when her popularity was down. You know, this is what worries me. And I mean, I'm sort of joking about it, but it would not surprise me because short of some miracle, Rishi Sunak, he's in real big trouble because everything's gone wrong for him. His party aren't behind him. There's loads of Conservative MPs standing down at the next election because they know they're not going to win. Then there's Lee Anderson defecting to Reform Party. There's this racism row. There's one thing after another. How he's even still there, I don't know. We had James Cleverly, didn't we? And then he just made David Cameron a Lord so that he could become the foreign minister. Pushed James Cleverly out of the way. James Cleverly has made loads of faux pas, hasn't he? Faux pas, saying, you know, that he has to drug his wife just so that she doesn't realise, you know, that there might be better men out there. You know, it's been one thing after another. And I mean, that's politics. In politics, they have to fend off attacks, and that's part of British politics, isn't it? You know, and Keir Starmer's had to fend off things as well. But I think, you know, we'll see what happens. Now, today is Prime Minister's question time at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock Spanish time, 12 o'clock UK time. I'll be watching it today. I think it's going to be a lively one. But what Sam is saying here is that for Graham Brady to ask for a secret meeting with just Rishi Sunak, because this 22 club, like the club of Conservatives, they do meet up on a regular basis, all of them together, but he's asked for a specific meeting with Rishi Sunak. That normally means that something's going on. So maybe he's got enough letters of no confidence to call a leadership election, or maybe it's getting close to the numbers and he's going to say to him, look, you've got to pull some miracle out of the bag because otherwise you're going to get I'm going to have to call for a leadership election. But what Sam would know, because Sam is, the political correspondent, and he's very good. He does seem to get inside knowledge, tipped off by the media. That's what he's saying. So time will tell.
The election should be is still live because Number 10 haven't completely shut that down. There are problems everywhere you look. So when Graham Brady requests a secret meeting with Rishi Sunak, at least one eyebrow gets raised quite high.
Yeah, very.
So there you go. So what does it mean? Anything? Is he finally Snaky Sunak on the way out? Because you know what? I think Rishi Sunak's been worse than Boris Johnson. Liz Truss was the worst, probably, because, she just... How long did she last? Less than a lettuce. She didn't even manage to last a couple of weeks. Her and that idiot Kamikaze Kwarteng just went in, wrecked the economy in less than 2 weeks. God, that must be a record. And now she's off trolling around the world, making speeches as if she knows what she's doing. I honestly think she is quite got some mental health issues, Liz Truss. I'm not joking. I literally think she has got some mental health issues. As far as I think Boris Johnson, well, I don't even want to say what I think about Boris Johnson, but Rishi Sunak is awful, because he's really is very sly. Why is he even prime minister? Why would a billionaire want to be prime minister? Or does he just want to put that on his bucket list? Did he have a list like, be prime minister? Oh yeah, I've done that, now I can go off and do something else. He's not even really British. He's got 3 nationalities. He's Indian, he's American, he's got a green card, and he's British, and he pulls out whichever nationality suits him at the time. Sorry, it's just not on. It's not on. He's not. He hasn't got the. What can I say? It's not like the welfare of the British people he's got at heart. He's got the welfare of billionaires like him and his wife at heart. He's probably trying to put as much into place as he can that will benefit them for as long as he's prime minister. He's not there because he wants to see life get better for, people who are struggling. He just isn't. He's got no empathy. He never comes over. The only time I've ever seen him really enthusiastic about anything was when he met Elon Musk. Because he finally met someone who's got more money than his wife. So yeah, get him out. Just want to see him gone. Even Boris would have been preferable to him. But anyway, Boris is gone. It's funny because each new one that's awful makes you think, that they were the one before was awful, but they're not as awful as this one. I mean, how far down the line can they go? How many more dregs are there left in the Conservative Party? Because they've got rid of all the decent ones. It's time for a change. It is time for a change. And you know what? I'm not saying that if Labour get in, they're going to go in and it's all going to be roses. Of course it isn't. But it'd be nice to have some grown-up politicians in charge for a change. It'd be nice to have people who can have proper relationships with other countries, not just, that thing over Brexit and that, the way the European, our representatives in the European Commission, how childish they were, that vile Anne Widdecombe and Nigel Farage turning their back on the flag, the European flag. You don't do that. They were leaving Europe. They should have been grown up about it. They acted like they were in a Carry On film. This is what makes me angry. This is our reputation now. This is the British rep, and I want to see it get better again. So, people can think, it's not that I'm not patriotic. I am patriotic, but I want a good reputation, not bad reputation for our country. There you go. I think I've got it all. I think I've got it all out of my system now. That's it as far as politics are concerned. Now, there may be more later. I know some people won't agree with me. That's fine. You don't have to agree with me. That's what I feel. And I think when you see it from outside, you do see it a lot more clearly, you know, because you get other news as well. You know, you see things not just from the mainstream media. Now, the mainstream media in Britain is a joke, isn't it? It's a complete joke. It is so loaded in one direction that there's no room for, you know, there's not much media out there that you think you can get like an impartial view or see the other side of things. You know, it just looks like some sort of police state now, Britain, in some ways, or it's controlled by the establishment so tightly that, you know, people don't even know what's really going on unless they look into it a little bit more. And of course, social media, that's why they hate Twitter so much, and they hate TikTok, and they hate YouTube and all those things, because people can say more things there. They don't have to, you know, the mainstream media has one narrative and that's it. You're not going to find anything different. You're not going to find another point of view. You're not going to find another possibility or, oh, well, you know, what do you think about this? It's just all one way. So at least on social media, you can go, I mean, you'll get one point of view from me. You can go on someone else's YouTube, social media, Twitter, get their point of view. You know, you can get all the different points of view, and then you make your mind up what you think and what you believe, you know. But the mainstream, you'll never get that from the mainstream media. Hi, Ocean. So I know, sorry, I didn't say hello to people coming in and things because I was ranting, but unfortunately, Ocean, I'm finishing off now. I've had my rant. I've got it out of the way. I feel better. Old hippie's saying, Theresa May. Well, Theresa May, she looks brilliant now compared to the others. I never thought that much of her, but, you know, when you compare her to the other load of twonks that we've had since, she was class, you know. And I do, one thing I do think about Theresa May, I do think she has got strong convictions, whether, you know, we're on different sides of the political spectrum, I suppose, and there's probably some places where we align. She did quite a lot for women, I think, Theresa May, which quite often women politicians have done nothing for women. You know, Mrs. Thatcher didn't do anything for women, but Theresa May, she was, you know, and she did quite a lot behind the scenes. I have got some respect for Theresa May more than the others, but unfortunately, you know, she tried to deal with Brexit in a fair way, and she just got vilified for it. So she just couldn't do it, could she? They just wouldn't let her do it. So unfortunately, we ended up with this load of idiots that we've got now. Oh, okay. So listen, have a good day. I'm sure I'll be back later. I'm going to go off. I have got some classes later, but I'm going to go and watch Prime Minister's Question Time. I've quite enjoyed having a little rant about politics. I haven't done it for ages. I hope I haven't offended anyone. I just want to say it's not my intention to offend anyone. I'm just saying how things as I see it. If people don't agree with me, leave your comments and say you don't agree with me, but just be respectful with your comments. So if people leave me comments like attacking me, I'm just going to delete them or hide them or whatever. But if you leave a comment, you know, a well thought out comment with your view, it won't get deleted. It won't get hidden. Well, not by me anyway, as long as you know, sometimes YouTube sort of ship off comments. But yeah, debate's important. So enjoy and remember to live and love wisely, carefully. We'll see what happens with the old politicos. And yeah, till I see you again in the next video, may your God go with you. Much love. Adios.